Welcome to Municipal Matters. I'm Mayor Danny Breen at the St. John's Visitor Information Centre. And on tonight's episode, we'll explore tourism, a vital and growing industry for St. John's and the province as a whole. We know our city is filled with the music, culture, and the arts that shape the passionate, energetic, and colourful people that live here. Our rugged shores, award-winning trails, fantastic dining, and unique experiences provide the backdrop for visitors from all over the world. Today, we speak with Cathy Duke, CEO of Destination St. John's, to find out some of what goes into marketing St. John's as a top tourism destination. We'll also talk with Dennis Hogan, CEO of the St. John's International Airport Authority, Jill Bruce, the city's lead on special events and cruise, and Julie Vogt, Executive Director of the Newfoundland Labrador Folk Art Society, for a lively discussion on tourism and events in our city. Please stay tuned.
Metrobus on demand. Fast, affordable transportation at the tap of a button. Visit metrobus.com/book-a-ride for details.
Children want to learn new skills. High Five programs, like the ones at the City of St. John's, provide them with activities and tasks that make them feel special, important, and successful. Learn more about the city's accredited High Five recreation programs today.
Welcome to our show this evening as we talk about tourism, and joining us is Cathy Duke, CEO of Destination St. John's. Welcome, Cathy.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
So, Cathy, tell us about Destination St. John's.
Sure. So Destination St. John's is what we call a destination marketing organization, and our main mandate is to promote the St. John's region for tourism. So we focus a lot on bringing in meetings and conventions, a lot of the large sporting events that we have here in the city, and we also focus on the leisure traveler. So that would be the traveler who comes by motor coach, or possibly a traveler who comes with his or her family or as a group. So yeah, it's a fun area to work in for sure.
Yeah, it certainly is. So the tourism industry is a very interesting industry. So since the pandemic, what have you seen as changes in travel patterns and requests?
Right. Actually, some people use the term the new traveler, because people are thinking about their travel a lot differently than they did before the pandemic. People had an opportunity to look at their own personal lives and how they were spending their time, and thinking about the pressures of work and so on. And what we're finding and what we're learning from other research that's been done by Destination Canada is that people are now looking for a vacation where they can go and experience the destination, and nature is a big piece. People really want to be outdoors with nature. They want to meet with the locals. They want to really kind of experience the local culture. And they're also really concerned about sustainability. So they really like destinations where we're thinking about our environment, but also destinations where the benefits of the tourism industry go back to the community and those who work and live there. So they're very much thinking about where they're going and what this place is all about.
So, you also spend a fair bit of time attracting events and conventions here to the city.
Yeah.
Tell us about that business.
Sure. A lot of this business comes down the road, so sometimes it takes as much as 2 or 3 years to bring in a national conference, but it's a really interesting business. We will market to meeting planners, who are the ones who bring the opportunities to the various organizations that they work for, and we will compete against other cities in Canada. So what we do, what we feel our advantage is selling the destination. Just the fact you're coming to St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. We sometimes tap into a market where organizations rotate across the country, but in other cases we target organizations that have a niche market. So for example, one of the areas we see a lot of potential for growth in is incentive travel. So these would be organizations who take their top salespeople to an exotic destination for a vacation for it. And we're getting a lot of that business now. They're really seeing what we have to offer as something really exciting and different.
Yeah, well, we are unique, and that's the thing that we market here.
That's right.
So with St. John's in itself, accommodations, how are we now? There used to be a time when we were short hotel rooms.
Right.
How's our inventory now?
Yeah, we're actually in a really very good position now. Pre-pandemic, there was a lot of growth in the hotel industry, and it was at a time when our economy was really strong, and companies outside of Newfoundland and Labrador were looking at opportunities to expand their business. We now have about maybe 3,000 hotel rooms in the city. They're both branded properties, which most people would be familiar with, but we also have really excellent properties that have been developed, non-branded ones that are local by local business people. So people have a variety if they want to be downtown, if they want to stay in a little boutique hotel, a larger hotel, if they want to be outside the downtown, perhaps if they're attending sporting events or they have family members coming. So we're really in a very good position that way.
So we talked a little bit about events and event attraction.
Yeah.
Is there anything in the future that you can tell us about to expect?
We've had some success in the past for sure in the sport tourism area, and some people will remember the Tim Hortons Briar, which we came together with all of our partners in the region to get. Last year we had the World Karate, so you have all kinds of sports that come in. Some of these take, as I said, a number of years down the road to come. We're pursuing some curling events now. We bring in a lot of soccer, baseball. So it really goes across, the whole realm of various sporting events. We do have a couple of other events next year. We have the Canadian Folk Music Awards, and that's a really lovely one that we've been able to attract in the whole arts area.
Yep.
And as you know, the province designated 2024 as the Year of the Arts.
Right.
So they're investing a lot in with local groups, encouraging them to create events and to expand on their programs, and some of them have partnerships with other national organizations. So there's a lot in the hopper, but not a lot that I can really talk about right now.
So of course, people that come here for those events, they don't only stay in St. John's, right?
Absolutely, yeah. What we find with people who come for meetings and conventions, they often will come early or they'll stay late. And we do a survey to get an idea of how long they stay and what kinds of things they do. And one of the things that we promote at Destination St. John's, we like to call ourselves your urban base camp. So people will come and they'll do all the wonderful things in St. John's in terms of visiting Signal Hill and Cape Spear, have their food downtown, they'll do their other tours. Then they'll take a day trip. And they may go down to Ferryland and do Ferryland Lighthouse picnics. Or maybe another time they'll go to Brigus or Cupid's. There's just so much in our region. They can experience the really neat down St. John's we have, that really amazing place to visit. But then they also get a taste of rural Newfoundland. So we have a great advantage actually in having so many things so close to us, and we really promote that.
So tell me, if somebody were to ask you, I'm coming to St. John's, what should I do? What would you suggest?
Well, we get that question so often. I have friends and family, and so I said, well, the top three things you have to do would be, Signal Hill, Cape Spear, downtown, and then you sort of go to the other tertiary things in terms of what their interests are, whether it's to visit the rooms or the Geo Center, or most people like to be near the coast, so you might suggest a boat tour, either here in St. John's or outside, or if they're active people, to take in some of the hiking trails, because there aren't many cities in the world, perhaps, I'm not sure about the world, but in Canada, where you actually have a hiking trail that starts right outside, the door of your hotel. Yep. So it depends on the interest that they have, but there are just so many things to do that my lists are so long, and I think, well, they're never going to get to do all of this. So I try to get an idea of what it is that they really, what their interest is.
Well, thank you, Cathy, for joining us.
You're certainly welcome.
And thank you. We'll be right back.
Curious about what's happening in the city? Now you can stay up to date with all things events, arts, culture, and recreation. Follow What's Happening St. John's on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You've got plans.
Every year it gets easier to see just how real climate change is. It's time for us to make better choices and take action. By recycling more at home, we make a world of difference, one blue bag at a time. We keep waste out of landfills, and we extend the life of precious natural resources. We all have a role to play, which is why MMSB is partnering with communities across the province to increase recycling at home. Join the curbside revolution. Learn more at recycleathomemnl.ca.
Welcome back. As we continue our discussion on tourism in the St. John's area, we're joined by Dennis Hogan, Chief Executive Officer of the St. John's International Airport Authority, Councillor Jill Bruce, who's also the Special Events and Cruise Lead for City Council, and Julie Vogt. Julie is the Executive Director of the Newfoundland and Labrador Folk Arts Society, producers of the Newfoundland and Labrador Folk Festival, amongst many other events. Thank you all for joining us. So, Dennis, coming through the pandemic, the airline industry was really savaged by that. How is the Airport Authority recovering?
We are actually coming off a very good summer season. So, in fact, even going back to the summer of 2022, given in part by the government's Come Home Year initiative, traffic is really starting to rebound. We're probably right now at about 90% of where we would have been in terms of passenger traffic compared to 2019.
Jill, the cruise ship industry is a major industry. It too was hurt by the pandemic, as every industry was. How has the cruise ship season been in St. John's this year?
Fantastic summer. We saw, I think, 36 scheduled ships that were arriving into our port this past summer, and numbers are up from every year. Next year, I think we're expecting about the same. However, we're expecting more passengers next year because they're going to be larger ships. So I think it's estimated about 67,000 passengers to take in our city during the summer next year. And it just adds so much besides the dollar amount, which they average about $100 a person that they spend when they leave the ship. But it just adds such a vibrancy to our downtown core and to the rest of the city, really, because the tours take them different places, and it's a great industry.
Julie, the music industry and the arts industry in St. John's in our province is just second to none worldwide. This summer we had many different concerts and festivals that took place. How did you see the summer went for your group?
Oh, the Folk Festival was such a big success. And Mayor Breen, you are not wrong. In fact, Newsweek magazine in 2019 voted St. John's, Newfoundland, the #1 city in the world for folk music. We're better than everybody else. And people plan their vacations around the Folk Festival. Yeah. They know what to expect. They're going to see some great acts, both from Newfoundland and from away, to come together to give them a wonderful experience. So I think this year, for sure, the pandemic was kind of in the rear view. We all know it's still here, but we had more people coming out to the park. the fear didn't seem to be there, and we had a wonderful festival. It was so fun.
Dennis, what does the airport see in the future as the challenges that it's facing going into next year?
We recognize that the biggest challenge we face right now is increasing our air service development capacity. So really reestablishing some nonstop direct service that we would have had in the past to Europe, to the eastern seaboard in the US or other parts of Canada. And that's something we've been quite strong in terms of our efforts to secure additional direct nonstop routes, and that of course will have a great benefit for the tourism sector and other sectors of the economy. It is a bit of a different world coming out of the pandemic now. There's great shortages of pilots, aircraft mechanics, others involved in the aviation sector, and that makes it a bit challenging for the airlines to deploy new aircraft, and even the aircraft themselves are in short supply. And we're also working toward establishing air service development, but so are many other airports throughout Atlantic Canada and the rest of the country as well. So there's a lot of demand for very limited assets that the airlines have to deploy at this point. So that's probably the biggest challenge we're going to face, but we're working very hard to make that happen.
Jill, what is it that when you visit the cruise ships and you talk to some of the passengers, what is it that they enjoy when they get into St. John's?
It's just amazing to speak to the visitors. Some of them are here because they've had friends and family who've been here, or they've got ties to Newfoundland. Some of them have never been here before, and just they did this cruise, and this is where it was bringing them. Some of them has been their third or fourth trip to our port. It's amazing to be on the ship and look out to see what they see when they come into our port. And it's just absolutely breathtaking. And every time I board one of the ships to meet the captains, I'm always in awe of how beautiful our city looks from their perspective. It's so colorful, even on the really, really rainy days. And it's foggy and it's gray. The colors of the buildings, they just stand out so beautifully. So I totally understand. I feel like a tourist when I'm on the ship. I know how they feel coming into our port, and they're so welcome because our staff does such a fantastic job of making sure that when they leave that ship, the first thing they see is Newfoundland and the culture. So we're doing a great job, I think.
Julie, the culture, that's what you bring. That's your big part of the tourism industry. Tell us about what you see as tourism bringing in and being able to display or showcase our talent to people from outside Newfoundland and Labrador.
It's interesting, Mayor Breen, because I myself was a tourist. In 2015, we came to St. John's for the first time ever because our family was from here, but I wanted to see it. And it was the music. It was seeing Larry Foley on George Street with that beautiful voice and these songs that I'd really kind of heard, but not really, interpreted in a new way. And the more time you spend here and the more events you can go to that either we produce or others produce, that music becomes part of your family. It's a character. It's something that you can't do without. And no place on earth does it like Newfoundland. And we have to get our youth involved so that tradition continues, because we should all be proud. When Eyes the Buy starts playing, we all better sing it, because it's who we are as a people, and to be so proud of that. And people love seeing it. They want to get up and dance. How many times have I been down on George Street, down at Broderick's or wherever, and you can see the tourists there. You can see because how they're dressed, and they've got their little bags and things. And you see they just want to start dancing. So I'll go out on the dance floor and, put my arm out. Come on, let's go. I've gotten a whole floor full before. And they have such fun. It's who we are as a people.
Dennis, the whole tourism marketing is really a collaborative effort. I mean, you have the airlines, you have the ferry system, you have the province doing its marketing overseas. But it's very difficult, and I think people sometimes think that when you talk about air access that you just go out and get a route, but it's not quite that simple, especially with the shortage of airplanes and pilots and staff now. Perhaps you can give us some insight into how that system works.
Yeah, sure, and I think you hit on a good point. Mayor, in that we all have to be aligned. So whether it's the industry groups that represent the tourism sector, Destination St. John's, Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, the municipal government, St. John's and surrounding municipalities, along with the provincial government and many other stakeholders, we have to speak with one voice when we're promoting Newfoundland and Labrador to open ourselves up to the world, so people can experience all the wonderful things that Julie and Jill have talked about. And we recognize at the St. John's International Airport Authority the critical role that we play in enabling economic development, and it all points back to that access and ensuring that we're promoting our province and providing that access so you do get visitors to come and people involved in different industries to conduct their business, grow the economy, and that's something we take very seriously at the airport.
So Jill, when it comes to the cruise industry, I think that there's, people see all these people coming in and downtown. I know this past summer we had days where we had 2 and 3 cruise ships in at one time. What does that do economically? There is a significant spin-off from that. But there's also this vibrancy thing that comes from having that many people coming in to the downtown.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned before, they average about $100 a person that people will spend in the shops and the restaurants and the surrounding areas. There's also the money that is spent to the cruise, to the port for warehouse and port fees and that sort of thing. And then the staff on the ships, they'll actually spend some of their money. So I've talked to a few of them that are just so excited just to get off the ship because maybe they've been on it for 3 or 4 days. So they love the port of St. John's. So there's the economic spin-off, but then as I mentioned before, it's just this vibrancy that when you get down towards downtown, you start seeing people kind of looking around and walking, and you're like, oh, there must be a ship in today, because it just adds this dynamic that we wouldn't necessarily have otherwise. And it doesn't matter if it's raining, it doesn't matter if it's sunny, they put on their ponchos and their umbrellas and they're just gone. Weather does not impact cruise ship visitors. They're going to enjoy their port wherever they are. So it's a financial, but it's also just something that you can't really put into words. It's a feeling that you get when you see all these people enjoying our city.
So Julie, you mentioned earlier about the other things that the Newfoundland and Labrador Folk Arts Society provides, and this is not for tourists, this is for us too, that we can avail. Tell us a little about some of the programs.
Well, we provide the youth performers that we are so committed to giving our youth the chance to perform in the wonderful city of St. John's. Concert at series down at Harborside and sometimes at Bowring or at Bannerman Park. We will have a youth opener to give them experience. They sing 3 songs. The most supportive audiences are there to clap them along. We do that. We are expanding our offerings. So tomorrow night, for example, we have a program that we would never have done before, and I sold 4 tickets to that program up in Elliston to 4 Texans that were in town. And I said, oh, you like folk music? You should see this. And I'm watching them online buy the tickets with their little thumbs. And I thought, this is good. We are more than just the folk festival. We have smaller events that tourists can enjoy. Folk night at the ship, that's a gotta do. If you're coming in and you want tourists to come back, you want people to say, oh, I love St. John's, just like we did. We thought one time. We came back the next year. Then we came back twice in a year. Then we came back 4 times in 1 year because we didn't want to leave. It was so fun. So these little events all the way through can help it be home to the tourists. Welcome to Newfoundland.
So you're speaking to a group of people who are thinking about coming to Newfoundland. What would you tell them they need to do once they get in St. John's?
St. John's, well, I think most definitely they have to experience the fabulous restaurants and the food culture that's emerged in the city over the last number of years. It's truly amazing, and you can get such a wide variety of different food types and just experience the culture, the music, all together in the downtown. You really can't beat that experience.
Jill?
I would say the parks. I think sometimes we forget that we take them for granted, these beautiful parks like Bannerman Park, Victoria Park, Bowring Park. I remember speaking to one guest who was getting off the ship, and it was a couple, and they had their mat ready, and they were getting a taxi because it was raining this day, and they were going to Bowring Park to see the caribou, because they had seen caribou statues in other places, and this was on their bucket list, and they were so excited to be here to be able to see this, and it's so walkable. Like Bowring Park is just a hop, skip, and a jump from the port. So I would say, besides your Signal Hill and your Cape Spear, definitely are beautiful parks.
Dance. The song Joe Bat's Arm. Cast aside your city charms. Cast aside that sometimes, get out there and have fun. That's what we do. We dance to our music. So if I said something, it would be that.
Fantastic. Well, I can tell you, not only are you all very involved in the tourism industry, you're great ambassadors for the city and for our province. I want to thank you for taking the time for being with us as we talk about tourism in St. John's. And thank you for joining us this evening.
Did you enjoy the show? Let us know. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns with anything that you've seen on this episode of Municipal Matters, please drop us a line by email at municipalmatters@stjohns.ca. We will try to answer any questions that you may have.
Recycling at home is one of the easiest ways to help protect our environment. Believe it or not, a lot of what we're throwing away in Newfoundland and Labrador can actually be recycled instead of sent to the landfill. And since you're already throwing it to the curb, the only difference is the color of the bag it's going in. So let's break it down. What can you put in your blue bag? For starters, boxboard, cardboard, paper bags, newspaper, toilet paper rolls, the majority of cardboard and paper products can be recycled curbside. A lot of metal and plastic containers are also accepted. Aluminum pie plates, soup cans, plastic food trays, shampoo bottles, butter tubs and lids, laundry detergent containers, and milk cartons are just a few examples. But remember, some items are not accepted in your blue bag. Placing items like glass containers, coffee cups, tissue, wrapping paper, and styrofoam may cause your bag to be left behind. To ensure your recyclables find a second life, you should also ensure they are free of liquids, garbage, or food. And that's it. You just leave it right there at the curb. We all have a part to play. Join the curbside revolution. Learn more at recycleathomemnl.ca.
And some nasty weather rolling in across the country today.
Extreme weather can hit quickly. Because of climate change, high-risk weather is becoming more common and severe across Canada. 1 in 3 Canadian adults have experienced a major weather-related emergency or disaster. Know the risks in your area and learn what actions you can take. Are you ready? Visit getprepared.ca. A message from the Government of Canada.